I'm Bruce Jump, the inventor of the Turf Tech Tool. This is Turfgrass. What if I told you the darkest green grass variety may not be the best one for the highest quality for your lawn? Let's take a look and see what the Turf Tech Tool says. You know, I have spent years reading marketing sell sheets from seed companies on how good their varieties are. I actually began selling seed way back in August of 1979. That's how long I've been selling seed. And the marketing sell sheets accentuate the positive. That's what they do. They say what's good about the grass seed. Nobody says their grass seed variety is light green, disease prone, doesn't tolerate traffic or shade. Nobody says that. I was looking at several YouTube videos this past week on turfgrass and came across several, and they were talking about dark green color, something like the darkest perennial ryegrass in the world. I found them interesting. They talked about what grasses to use. Several of them went as far as to talk about the National Turfgrass Evaluation Program, NTEP or NTEP for short, and what that program is and how it's a database for turf seed. When it comes to the three main factors to get seed established, like these dark green perennial ryegrasses, you got to have seed soil contact. You've got to have the right watering, irrigation, and moisture for those young little seeds and tiny roots to germinate and establish. And then you got to have the right soil temperature, so you got to be seeding at the right time of the year. I thought most of them did a pretty good job on how you can mechanically aerify or slit seed or scarify the soil, and they got the timing right, so you have soil temperatures in the 65 to 75, 78 degree range. And then they were talking about irrigation frequency and how you got to keep that top inch of soil moist. A lot of those were really good. What concerned me was it was a strong emphasis on color. Color is one of the factors in turfgrass quality. Dark green color is higher quality. Other factors, there's four factors for quality: color, texture, how fine the blade is, uniformity, make sure we have a uniform stand, and density, make sure we got more shoots per square inch than less shoots. To have a quality lawn, which most homeowners want, you got to have those four factors. So I decided to see what the Turf Tech Tool would say about these two perennial ryegrasses that were just being promoted and talked about. One was called Hat Trick and the other was called Fireball. Those actually show up in the NTEP databases in the 2017 perennial ryegrass trials. I'm going to show you the Turf Tech Tool looking at the 2017-2021 final report summary for all 5 years of data. So this is what you're seeing now, the Turf Tech Tool. And we got these slicers over here. So I take the NTEP data, I can slice based on attribute, I can slice based on vendor sponsor. There's about 40, 50 attributes in this trial. At the top is genetic color. Let's click on genetic color. And there you have it. There's 11 states that actually did testing on these perennial ryegrasses. There's 115, 120 or so perennial ryegrasses in this trial. I think it's over 100. If you look at this TPI score, that's what you see on the far right. That is a turf performance index. And what that means is it's the percentage of time in all of the trials for all of those years a variety was a top performer. There's a statistical measure in the NTEP trials called a LSD, or least significant difference value. If you look at that, look at the scores, I developed some algorithms that'll actually calculate, was this variety a top performer for this attribute, for all of the states, for all of the years in the trial. You can see the highest score, meaning the highest percentage of time these varieties were top performers. Right at the top is Hat Trick, followed by Fireball. 91.7% of the time, over 11 states, with all of those observations, those two, plus an experimental variety from Allied Seed that at the time this database was developed did not become commercialized. That is called an experimental number, that ASP. Those three were the darkest green across multiple states over 5 years of data. 91.7 is really good. So is it true Hat Trick and Fireball are the darkest green? Yeah, it really is true. If I scroll down here, you can see some of the scores. Some of these scores are 58% of the time. Some of them only made the top group 50%, only half of the time. Because these states have different soil types and weather patterns and temperatures and phosphorus levels, potassium levels, they're all different. And to be consistently a high performer over that many states over 5 years is really, really hard. If I keep scrolling down, you'll see the numbers get lower and lower and lower. And if there's any takeaway here, not all ryegrasses are equal. They're very different. Linn, the standard that's been around for decades, never made the top group one time. That's a 0. So, are Hat Trick and Fireball the darkest green perennial ryegrasses in the world? That is true. So, these YouTube channels I was watching got that right. It is dark green, and people love a dark green lawn. However, we got to have a quality lawn, and that is uniformity and density. So we don't want diseases. We don't want drought injury. We don't want a lot of those things happening. Watch what happens. Gray leaf spot is one of the big diseases that ryegrasses are susceptible to. The NTEP group ran one trial in New Jersey over at Rutgers. So you're going to see they're either in the top group or they're not in the top group. And right now you're seeing the ones that are in the top group. These are resistant to gray leaf spot. If I scroll down, these are the ones that are not resistant. There's Hat Trick, 0, and Fireball, 0. They did not score high on gray leaf spot resistance. Here's crown rust. Again, Fireball and Hat Trick had a 0 score on crown rust. They're not resistant. How about stem rust? Go down here to stem rust. Hat Trick was resistant to stem rust, but Fireball wasn't. These two varieties, even though they're the darkest green, they got some issues on diseases. In order to have quality, they've got to be disease resistant, especially gray leaf spot. That is a disease that has just been devastating perennial ryegrass throughout the Midwest, the Northeast. The top score right now is one called Furlong from Lebanon's Seaboard. Genetic color is only 50%, but it is highly disease resistant. An overall TPI score 92.9. Even though the color is sacrificed a small amount, if it's not disease resistant, it's not going to score high on an overall quality lawn. Some other varieties here, Primary from Columbia Seeds. We've got several from DLF. We got Fastball from Mountain View Seeds, all overall scores in the high 80s. There's Hat Trick. Look at the color score, 91.7. It's not resistant to gray leaf spot. It scored a 0 on brown patch, a 0 on crown rust. It did have a nice score on stem rust and 50% on red thread. The overall TPI score, 48.8 on Hat Trick. And look at Fireball even further down. Awesome color, but look, 0s on brown patch, gray leaf spot, crown rust, stem rust. It is pink snow mold resistant. It only got a 50% on red thread. Those diseases are going to drag those quality scores down, and most homeowners are not going to be happy with those varieties in a home lawn. Let's add quality scores. I've chosen to add to genetic color, quality in the north central region, quality in the northeast region of the United States, quality in the Pacific region, and then quality schedule A would be high-end lawn care, where we're trying to reach the potential of what these varieties can do in a home lawn under some high-end lawn care. Look at the quality scores. Stellar 4GL from Mountain View. Again, the color isn't quite what Hat Trick and Fireball is, but look at those hundreds on quality. Where is Hat Trick and Fireball? Hat Trick came in at the color 91.7, only 40% on quality in the north central region, 0% quality in the northeast region. It never made the top performing group one time. And over high-end lawn care quality, a 40% score. The overall TPI is 36.3. Fireball, as you can see from the chart, was even worse. Overall score 33.4. Typically, ryegrasses, if you're in the Pacific Northwest, tend to have milder summers. I mean, the world capital of grass seed production for cool season grass seed is in Oregon, in the Willamette Valley. At Oregon State University, Corvallis, Oregon, they ran quality scores for 12 months out of the year, and I'm showing you those right now. Stellar 4GL, 12 out of 12, a perfect 100% quality score, where it should be relatively easier to grow perennial ryegrasses. So as we go down the list, you'll see some from another one from Mountain View, that PPG PR 367, that's an experimental variety. That's from Steve Johnson's breeding program, Peak Plant Genetics. PR stands for perennial ryegrass, and that was the 367th variety he was testing. That one came out to be 91.7. Another one from his program, 91.7. Apple 3GL, All-Star 4, all high scores. Fireball is at a 16.7. It only made the top group in May and in August. It missed the top performing groups in every other month. Hat Trick was even worse. It only made the top group in May for a score of 8.3. So not even giving quality lawns in the Pacific Northwest. So you can see kind of a line. Some people call it the domination line between your lawn and your neighbor's lawn because color shows up really, really well. But to have a quality lawn, you need more than just dark green color. You got to have the uniformity, you got to have density, you got to have the right texture, and those things are going to be impacted by things like disease, drought, traffic, shade. There's all kinds of attributes that affect quality lawns. So to have a quality lawn, we got to look at the whole set of attributes that are going to be important for your area, not just genetic color. So that's my key takeaway. Genetic color is good, but overall quality scores, looking at comprehensive attributes based on your region, is better.